always, we appreciate you joining us. Feels officially, maybe it's because we're back in studio. Maybe it's because there's a ton of games tonight. Maybe it's because there's a ton of great games this weekend. I don't know. Feels like the first honest week of the season, but I am ready to roll with Redemption Thursday. Pumped that we have made it. If you're driving about town listening on 93.3 Real Talk Radio, thanks for doing that. If you're watching on Warchant TV, YouTube, we appreciate you doing that. If you're in the chat room, I normally would doff the cap. Didn't wear one today. I was looking so good. I thought we do not need to obscure this face with a hat. Let's let everybody in and get a good look at this right here. Look at that. Look at that smooth head shaved this morning. His hair is fighting to come back, Tom. If you look right real close on the camera, you can see it. It begs for me to grow it out. But I won't do it. I won't grow it out. Yeah, it says grow it out. Now, look at that Clooney. Look at that. That's a quaff. Now, if I had that, I would grow it out. It's not there. Not there. But, yeah, we are good to go, in a good mood. It's weird. I think the other part of the good mood is, obviously, we know what happened. We know what happened. We've talked about it. We'll continue to talk about it a little bit here, but we're going to look ahead. We're going to look ahead now. It's time you kind of turn the corner, and you get a great weekend to sit back and gamble and drink and enjoy the debauchery.
And then gamble and drink.
And do it again. It's the heavy season. Hopefully you ratcheted yourself into some form of decent shape before you enter into the heavy season. If not, God help you. Post-Christmas, you'll have to get after it because the heavy season is no time to try to get right. Hair fighting as much as Farmer and Jackson on the line last Saturday. Farmer less so, Giovanni. Jackson, I'm with you, man. Daryl, now, you could snap me in half in 2 seconds. You're that kind of mountain of a man, and I get it. But, buddy, 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers back to you. Let's go. What was that? 6'5", 330, just standing around doing a whole lot of nutting. No, man. We got to cave some folks' chests. Let's get this thing going. You're a big, strong man. I want to see it in a game. I've seen it in practice. The people have told me I'm not allowed to talk about you anymore. I can't talk about you. So you got to do something so that I'm allowed to talk about you again and that you're, going to show me that you can play this game a little bit. Show me that you can play this game a little bit. I know it's in there. I swear I've seen some glimpses, but we're waiting. The folks in Maryland were waiting. The folks in Miami were waiting. Now the folks in Tallahassee are waiting. Buddy, the NFL is watching. So let's get to this thing. Let's go. Now, again, I like the game being on a Monday because I get to just be a college football fan for a few days. Starting tonight, man, is there a lot of pressure on Deion Sanders in Colorado tonight. Don't fool around and lose to North Dakota State. Not a good look. Not a good look if it were to go down. I don't suspect that it will go down, though. I think that the North Dakota State reputation, rightfully, is a good one. But I also don't think they're the same team that they've been. And they haven't been as dominant as they once were. They get to the finals and lose now, Tom, unlike when they used to win it every year. But they'll be well coached. They'll be buttoned up and ready to play. I think Colorado wins this one, but I'm going to watch. You can bet your bippy. I just like saying bet your bippy.
You don't know how much my bippy's worth.
You can bet it. You can bet it. I'm going to watch. Oh, am I going to watch?
What kind of collateral does a bippy get?
I don't know, actually. Never sold one. Hey, take a look at those picks. Go ahead and throw them up. It's time. There it is. The sack of money magically being held by those tiny little hands. Redemption Thursday wagering menu is on the screen. And here we go. I got Colorado minus 9.5 tonight. I laid it. That number has moved since I laid it this morning. I think it's up to 10. But I'll go ahead and trust in Shador to go out there and play well and get a win against North Dakota State. Minnesota and North Carolina, I don't like either squad, but I do like the under, and you're going to notice a theme. Your boy's taking some unders out here in week 1. Under 50.5 between North Carolina and Minnesota. Doesn't it feel like those two teams are going to struggle?
A little 20-13 action.
Yeah,
maybe?
It feels very much like that, like 24-16 type game. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 16.
Yeah,
That's
16,
a great
16's
number
a number. Yeah, that's a good number. North Carolina, Minnesota, we're going under 50.5. TCU, Stanford, weird game. Under 59.5. Doesn't feel like we can get there. Georgia, minus 13.5. They're a machine. I don't, everybody's trying to catch up. They're a machine. Dabo won't go get in that portal. Go on get is what he says to that portal. I ain't going in. Go on get with your portal. I don't need any good players. We're all right with the ones we got. They love the Lord. We'll win with them. Okay. Georgia's about reckless driving and kicking your ass. And they will minus 13.5.
Wait a minute. It's not like Clemson has a program that's made in anybody's image and likeness.
Not just anybody's.
No. Well, especially considering that, maybe a certain quarterback hit up the massage parlors in Clemson.
Well, no, Tom. Do as I say, not as I do.
Is there anything more heavenly?
All right. But they're the game. Virginia Tech. I like the way they played at the end of last year. Vandy's pretty predictably awful. Let's lay that 13.5. Sub 14, I'm doing it. Miami and Florida feels like a little bit of defense, maybe. Well, that's a big number early in the year. 54.5 in the swamp. I got Miami winning the game, by the way, if you're wondering about the side. But I'll see this. Mertz is a dinker and a dunker.
No more Pearsall.
Mertz is a check down Charlie. Mertz is a high completion percentage kind of guy.
It kind of sounds like a sound you could assign to him as he throws. Mertz.
Yep.
Mertz.
Yep.
Gain of 3.
That's
Mertz.
within 4 yards of the line of scrimmage. Completed.
Mertz.
2nd and 6.
Mertz.
Yep. You're right. You could say that. Felt like us on Saturday. Mertz. There's another Mertz. Every time we threw to the running backs. Mertz. Going to throw anything downfield like a man?
2nd and 9.
Mertz.
Handoff.
Always. I was going to say there was no Mertz there. 2nd and 9 was a run come hell or high water for Florida State. So, there we go. We're going to go under 54.5. I'm getting back. I'm going to dance with the one that brung me. I'm going to do this time and again. And we did do some dancing for about 4 or 5 years. Me and Alabama were doing the twist for years together in that first half. And we would cash in the chips. We'd go to the drink table smiling at this prom dance, buddy, knowing that we had made our money back for some night drinking by laying that first half number. And that's not a big enough number. DeBoer has walked into Alabama and said, I know I'm not Nick Saban. He's right here over my shoulder. He's watching me as I'm talking to you now. That's Nick. You guys know that. His office is right over there. It's bigger than my office. I'm the new head coach, but my office is half the size of his office. But I get it. You guys need to see it. And today I'll show you a 40-point ass whooping in the first half against Western Kentucky, just to let you know that it may be different. You think I bet that one in my real life? Is that what you're saying? You think I may have laid that one in my real life?
If you're going with a first half spread, yeah.
First half minus 18. Yeah. Let's dance, Bama. Good to see you here again. I'll lay the 18 against Western Kentucky. Won't know what hit them. Those are some big boys. Michigan and Fresno State under. I think most of Michigan games are going to be under this year. Just underfests.
Underfest. I like
underfest.
That. I also really appreciate that you're saying you're trying to earn night drinking money because that implies that there was a day full of drinking.
Oh, yeah, but now I need night drinking money.
I've got day drinking
money. I got day drinking money. I've already laid that on the table. Now I need my night drinking money.
Without the specials, if I need them.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So we're going under Michigan, Fresno State under. Notre Dame, Texas A&M feels like the first to 10. Feels a lot like if I can get to 10 points, I got this thing won. Elko's telling his team, it's halftime, boys, 3-3. Can we get to 10? We got this thing. Can we get to 10 in this game? These fans, weird as they are, cultish as they might be, they want to slap their own ass cheek and dance in the stands at some point, boys. We got to get to 10. We got to get to 10. And the dog's been staring at me. This stupid dog has been staring at me. These dudes that want to slap their own ass and dance in those boots are staring at me. I'm uncomfortable. I've only been here for 6 weeks. It sucks here. Can we get to 10? Woo! So a little 10-9 action for the under. 10-9 action for the under.
Revelry.
Woo! Now let's sway. Let's all sway. And I don't mean sway like Jimbo Fisher looking awkward, beady-eyed, and nervous, rightfully as he were. But I want to sway like I mean it. 10 points to get me to sway. Slap your ass, son. FSU minus 16.5. Going to run it up. This could get ugly. Mike Norvell is embarrassed. He's embarrassed. He embarrassed himself, his family.
Well, the Knowles are his family. He embarrasses no family.
I kid, Mike. I kid. That was ugly. You admitted it. It was terrible. It was embarrassing. There were a lot of very angry people. They're just now to a place where they can smile at some of these good-natured jokes. Perhaps. Maybe they've redirected their hatred right towards me. I'll do that for you, Mike, but I need a better performance. Because that ain't it. That was awful. That was humiliating. A bunch of dudes standing around doing a whole lot of not hitting. That's what they were doing. I think Florida State comes out on fire Monday night and busts that ass. I feel good about it. Tom. I'm going to lay the 16.5 points.
One would.
16.5, laying it. What was my last one? Oh, LSU and Southern Cal. Perhaps. That's how I'll begin this. Ready? Perhaps one of these two teams will decide that they too would like to engage in a form of defensive football. Last year, neither could be bothered. Neither team had any inclination to guard anybody else. Just sort of a, I score and you score. How do I initiate my offense? Taking the ball out of the net after you hit another wide open three. Let's go. It's my turn to hit a wide open three. Coach, do you think somebody should get a hand in the face of those shooting those threes? They're all going in. Now, why the hell would we do that? I got to initiate my offense. Get the ball out of the net, son, and let's go. We'll see which one decides to get a hand up and guard somebody. Now, changes have been made. I don't trust Southern Cal to get a stop, no matter how up-and-coming their defensive coordinator is, and he is. LSU in the past, Kelly's teams in the past, not last year for sure, have bothered to defend some. So I'll tell you, I got to believe at some point LSU will get some stops. I like their quarterback a lot. Think about it this way if you're an LSU fan. You woke up today and you said to yourself about this game, thank God we don't play Florida State. That's what you did. You got up, you had a beignet, you put a stogie in your hand, you went down and got some delicious food that's terrible for you, and then you said, thank God we don't play Florida State, because if we did, we'd get our ass kicked again. We are owned by Florida State. From Jerry DiNardo to Brian Kelly. All we've ever done is take an ass kicking at the hands of Florida State. We had 16 wide receivers on the roster that were drafted in the first round last year. 16. And we still lost to Florida State and couldn't do a damn thing till we were down 28 in the second half. Sweet Jesus, we don't play Florida State this weekend, boys. We play Southern Cal, and they don't want to tackle anybody as much as Florida State didn't want to tackle anybody against Georgia Tech. Not us, but Georgia Tech. So we got a shot, and I'll do it.
And do we?
Which is delicious. It's Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Pinch A Penny Pools has the largest selection of premium hot springs hot tubs in the city. You might even call it Tallahassee's Hot Tub Hub. 12,000 square feet of hot tubs, with over 50 of them on site. Over 20,000 gallons of tub capacity to choose from. That's 4,620,000 cubic inches of hot tubs. But I digress. So why should you own a hot tub from Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you. Number one, health benefits, of course. The healing powers of soaking in a hot bubbling pool of water go back centuries. Google it. Number two, Pinch A Penny has hot tubs with technology called Freshwater IQ. It gives you real-time chemical readings and tells you exactly what to add to keep the water at peak perfection, with automated analysis to help you control the chlorine and pH. It's hot tubs for dummies. Sign me up. Number three, they have the best prices, of course. Plus, you get a free accessory and no interest financing. Easy peasy. But if you don't want to take my word for it, check them out yourself. Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas. Locally owned, locally operated, and the easiest way to find relaxation at home.
This announcement is brought to you by Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey.
If you're driving right now, you should know there's an 80% chance that the cars all around you don't carry any bodily injury insurance. Most people don't realize it, but in Florida, all the law requires is that drivers carry property damage insurance. This means that the texting teen drifting over into your lane or the drag racer on your rear bumper have no way of compensating you or your loved ones when they cause a crash. And this should scare the hell out of you. Fortunately, there's an easy way to protect your family from this, and it's called uninsured motorist coverage. It's an absolute must, but a lot of insurance companies are convincing folks to drop it just to save a few dollars. Take it from the personal injury experts. Don't. At Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey, we've recovered millions of dollars in uninsured motorist coverage in crashes where our clients would have otherwise received nothing. So please, call your agent right now and make sure you have uninsured motorist coverage on your policy. We hope you'll never need it, but we'll be here for you if you ever do. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Don't settle for less.
Widden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Widden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
It's summertime in Tallahassee, and it's gonna get hot. The last thing you want to do is your own yard work, so call the Lawn Johns instead. Here's what Linda had to say after her lawn service.
The Lawn Johns transformed my yard. Mark had excellent landscaping ideas and recommendations for the best plants for certain areas. The plan was executed efficiently, and now the yard is beautiful and full of color and variety.
Call the Lawn Johns today for all your lawn care and landscaping at 322-2567 or request a free quote online at thelawnjohns.com.
Ballmer's end of summer super sale is going on now. Through the close of business on August 31st, we drop prices on many of your favorite items. Save at least 30% on every TV, every bike, and all tools. Save 25% on car stereo and computers too. And every piece of jewelry, rings, bracelets, necklaces, earrings, pendants, everything marked down at least 50%, some items as much as 70% off. But hurry for your best choice. The end of summer super sale is happening now through Saturday, August 31st at both locations. Ballmer's pawn, gun, sales, and check cashing, more than you might expect. This is Alex from Fulmer. We've been buying gold and silver jewelry, fine watches, and other collectibles for over 45 years. But did you know Fulmer's buys and sells gold and silver coins, bars, and bullion? Don't get scammed online or pay high shipping and handling fees. Call or stop by Fulmer's for a quick and easy quote. No matter if you're new to investing in bullion or have been collecting a lifetime, Fulmer's is your local source for buying, selling gold and silver coins and bullion. Fulmer's, more than you might expect, with 2 great locations.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Good job, Goofenberg. I'll bite on Wuhan Dabo plus 13.5, Jeff. 4 boxes of Lucky Charms. It's what we used to do. It was always a charitable deal. Still is. For those of you in the know who go back a ways and it's old school damn Skippy, the way it works is you keep track of your wagers against me. I'm going to win some. I'm going to lose some. And there's a whole bunch in between. We'll tally it up at the end of the year. IO boxes or non-perishable food items, if you will, to a charity. I'll usually pick it. I try to spread it out amongst many fine charities that do great work. If you lose to me and have a losing record towards Thanksgiving, figure it out. You're down 6 boxes of Golden Grams. Go donate those 6 boxes of Golden Grams, perhaps to, the Abused Women's Shelter. There's a lot of places you can do this. That's the gambling aspect of all this. It's for charity. Now, I gamble real money in my real life because I can do that. But it's illegal for me to do that on the airwaves here. So that's why we do it for charity. That's how that works. Just so you know. Many of you are new to the program. That's the way it works. I didn't even go back and check. Got the original underbet right. Got the spread wrong for New Mexico. Got, what was the other one?
Asking me to remember that one.
I got to go back. We were in Dublin.
That was. I was focusing on when you were talking. I was like, okay, let's make sure this doesn't break.
No, week zeros are impossible. Ask FSU. I mean, they're really tough.
Unless it's Duquesne.
What are you going to do?
There is speculation, though, that it is now going to be a thing. Like week 0 will become week 1 because college football is not so pleased with the NFL meandering into some of its territory. And so now they're trying to expand their calendars to be exclusive of one another. So don't be surprised if in the not too distant future, the week before Labor Day is when college football actually begins. They're trying to find that exclusive real estate of one another.
I was asked a question during the break. I believe it was from Briley. Let's get this, Jeff. How does that level of confusion and softness happen if that's just not the makeup of the team? I want to hope, but I just don't see a 180-degree change incoming. Well, I think there's a few things at play here. First of all, I think Georgia Tech is good. And for those out there wondering, if you listened closely, we did maybe mention more than once that Georgia Tech was extremely experienced with a very good offensive line, and I called Haynes King an excellent college quarterback. He's never going to play in the pros. He's a very good college quarterback, primarily because of his legs, and it changes the math. You remember the conversation, all of this. That was talked about too. Now, we thought, and I thought, and I think most people thought, and judging by the Vegas line, so did they think that Florida State would be good enough to get over that, get past that, have enough dudes to be able to overcome those moments where Georgia Tech makes plays. Because Georgia Tech is going to make plays. That's an experienced offense, all the receivers back, great running back, huge offensive line, very talented. They have an identity. They know what they are. They come ready-made. First game, probably not the ideal opponent, if we're being honest, in week 0. But you got to be better than you were. You got to be tougher than you were. And you got to show up. And they didn't show up. Lost by 3 while not showing up. I know that the score was closer than it actually was. If you looked at the game, Georgia Tech carried the day. I think scheme-wise, you saw some of the things that led to the confusion. And where there's confusion, there is not a decisive downhill approach to defense. That is immediately, Briley, viewed, rightfully so in the moment to some degree, as being soft. You look at that and you go, well, man, ain't nobody sticking their head in there. There's a whole lot of turning it down, as they say, and that's not going to get it done. But turning it down can mean I don't know where I'm supposed to be. Not sticking your head in there could be I'm thinking about where I'm supposed to be. They missed fits. There was confusion, a lack of communication, and a whole lot of problems presented by what Georgia Tech did with the condensed formations and obviously the motions. I don't want to make excuses. It's a bad look. You knew all summer that's who you were playing. Besides, their offense is very similar to your own. But that said, I think when you get burned a few times, you're not so quick to go flying up to make a play when somebody's run past you the other way a couple of times, or you've taken the wrong angle. And that can spread like a cancer to where everybody's looking to the other guy to make a play. They don't want to be the one responsible for the mistake that leads to the 12 yards, the 17 yards, the 25 yards. And you get this really passive approach. I think the defensive line, a lot of that eye candy stuff, you saw guys kind of playing to stymie instead of impacting the game physically. And there are a lot of things that I think are wrong with that. You know, I think you've got to initially physically change the line of scrimmage. That doesn't mean you pin your ears. It doesn't mean you go hell or high water to try to get to the quarterback, but it does mean you reset the line of scrimmage and you make a running back have to stop, pause, think, shift, not just hit the hole 1,000 miles per hour and be able to go wherever he wants and getting to the second level, not just being able to get to the edge because you didn't set it. You got to be more physical, and Florida State was not. Now, when you get burned, and you can see it repeatedly on film, and you can be shown, and personnel changes can be made, and they will be made. We already know that. One guy has already lost his job in week 1. So Hussey starts instead of Brown. Sounds an awful lot like we got a different defensive end that's going to be out there for a hell of a lot more snaps than a certain young defensive end that we were all very excited about, but really, really played terribly in this last game. So you got basically 2 guys who maybe lost their jobs, their starting jobs.
Oh,
They're going to play, but they lost their starting jobs.
And then there might be another linebacker who's in the rotation who didn't see the field last week.
It sounds a lot like that is going to be the case. So I'll submit to you that's 3 people that lost their job in one game, and a whole bunch of others whose time on the field will be affected. So changes are made. You don't have time to half step after you lose a game in which you're double-digit favorites. You don't have time to worry about people's feelings. You've got to get the guys out there that are going to play tough, play aggressive, play hard. I can live with some mistakes in the interim, but they can't be a group of defensive football is too tough, man. It's too tough. Now, I know you got to work together, and you can't be a bunch of free will and renegades, you know, playing with your hair on fire at all times. I mean, I have responsibilities, but within the responsibility, within the scheme of the responsibility, all of that, I've got to go and hit somebody. It got lost. That's why Mike took responsibility for a team that wasn't prepared to play football. I can't imagine that mistake's going to be made twice. You know, we'll get to a place where you're able to talk about the game and the good and the bad and everything in between, and not so much the reactionary nature of the way they play defense. Like I could say, well, this guy doesn't know what he's doing, or this guy is out of place, or this seemed like the wrong scheme for this team. We can get into those things. I just don't want to be talking about people not playing fast, not playing physical. You know, coaches told you this when you played Pee-wee football, and then later you guys played high school football, and they would have told you this if you played college football. Many of you listening did play college football, so you know what I'm talking about. That if you're going to make a mistake, make it fast. Make it violent. You know, let's not be half-stepping now. I remember the first time we did Oklahoma drills, and it was one of the times where I had to carry the ball. And I remember thinking, well, I've never played running back. I don't, you know, what am I doing here? And I was, you know, you're between the 2 cones. And so I'm kind of dancing and I'm trying to make the guy miss me instead of it. That's not what the drill's for. I was told in no uncertain terms, lower your shoulder and stick that bitch. Let's go. You better give as much as you're getting, because if the energy goes too much the other way, you get blown up. And it always stuck with me. I was like 10 years old. I'll never forget it. It's like, I got to expend as much energy as I'm getting back. We might neutralize. I may lose. But if I just wear it, it's never going to wear it. It's never going to go well. I saw a lot of guys kind of standing around, not giving what they were getting.
Well, that's one of the things I remember when we had the practice footage and we ran that during breaks during camp. You know, the chat went wild for 1 day's worth of videos because it was a defensive line instruction, first 4 periods. Remember what the term was that Mike used? Violence.
Violence, yeah.
He was talking about violence. We need violence. There was no violence.
No, none.
The most violence we saw, you know it and I know it, was on special teams. It was Edwin Joseph. That was it. That was violence.
And Edwin Joseph brings the funk now.
He does. Yes. We need that funk.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
got to have that funk.
We want it. But I will tell you this, the thing with him has never been about whether or not, that he could hit or was physical. It's just, was he going to be where he needed to be? But what they kind of told you was, after this game, well, we had a guy who wasn't where he was supposed to be and wasn't hitting. So I'd take the guy who's going to hit.
Right.
That's kind of what they just told you.
Well, yeah, this is, over the last few days, as comprehensively as we spoke about this, whether it was post-game show, bellying up, subsequent shows.
That's a good bellying up. I went back and listened to it just to see if we covered everything. It really struck me how good it was.
Because we discussed the comprehensive nature of the defeat. Then the coaching staff comes and talks about it after Mike has a chance to review film. It's a Wednesday, which serves as a Monday. You hear from the coordinators, and basically they tell you the same thing. Well, we weren't able to stop their run.
Well,
because we lost up front.
What is it you say you do here?
We didn't diagnose well. We didn't know what was coming. We took poor angles. Sometimes those angles were affected because we lost at the point of attack. We didn't tackle well. And sometimes guys abandoned their training. That was something that Mike Norvell said today, was that guys abandoned their technique and their training. So what you're telling me is you did nothing.
Well, that was born out of frustration and desperation. They didn't trust it. That gets back to Mike, though. I mean, I love Mike, and I think he's a good coach, and that's not a referendum on who he is. It was a bad game. The team wasn't prepared. Let's see how they play. You don't have to have all of the answers after week one. You would have liked to have been more prepared, ready-made. You would have liked to hit the ground running. You would have liked to have looked better, but it didn't happen. Now, let's see what happens in game 2 and game 3 and game 4 and game 5, and we'll really get a better sense of what the team is or is not. I know what they want to be. But, even that seemed to take a back seat to running plays. And people will understand what I'm talking about with that. There was a whole lot of running plays and not a lot of continuity to what you were. It was like, I've decided we're going to do this come hell or high water, and if the team commits to stopping that, I still don't think they can, so I'm going to keep doing it. In the face of some evidence that suggested maybe you should have changed it up a little sooner. He admitted to that mistake. He said so at the press conference. I will take a lot away from what happens on Monday. Do they come out and play with fire? Are they focused? Are they intense? Are they physical? Are they violent, to use the word that Mike talks about a lot? And, do they execute a little bit better situationally? I tend to think they will. And it's not as if Castellanos is going to catch them by surprise. They know what the hell that dude is. Now, listen, and I get into this a lot with people because he looked like the second coming of Fran Tarkington against us. Everybody thinks that's who he was the rest of the year. Go back and look. He wasn't. He looked like that against us. And occasionally he looked like that against other teams for a quarter, a half. But he didn't consistently put that together because that's not who he is. He's not a great thrower of the football. He's not a great quarterback, period. He's just not. And if we make him look great again, then we have a problem. That's not a good thing. Again, I understand things are unto themselves. They happen individually on a weekend. It happens. That team was, as we found out, flu had run through the entire team. They got out to a great start, dominated the first half, and all of a sudden, floodgates open, and you had guys puking, and they really didn't make plays. I don't think they have any such excuse coming into this game, Tom. I haven't heard of any illnesses running wild in the locker room. I think they're going to be all right.
I don't care if there is. They should be ill. They should be ill from Dublin. They should be puking every night.
Yeah, emotionally.
Rolling over at 3 a.m. going, what did I just do?
Yeah. Last night I had a crazy bout of acid reflux, and it makes no sense, Tom. None whatsoever.
This a live read for like Maalox?
No.
What are we doing?
Should be. I've never really had that problem at all. Again, I've been squeaky clean for way too long. 4 days or whatever this has been.
I was going to say
4 or 5 days.
Dublin?
Sunday, I had some beers with you, but it was like 4 Guinness, and that was it. And I haven't had anything since. I've eaten a whole bunch of just lean meat and
grains.
I've been a saint. Water, god awful amounts of water. I've been exercising, been getting back into it, ready to roll. And last night, out of nowhere, 1 o'clock in the morning, sat up, couldn't. It was crazy. I don't know what happened. Maybe too much water.
Maybe you're having a dream about the game.
Yeah,
Maybe you were dreaming about the point of attack.
I was sick. I was sick by everything I saw in that game. Yeah, you guys need to go have a DEXA scan. Get right. How about you do the VO2 Max at my friends at DexaFit? Here's the thing about the VO2 Max. It ain't easy. You got to go. You got to get up and go. But it'll tell you a lot. It'll tell you a lot. It's the number one predictor of all-cause mortality. I know that because I read it. Dr. Peter Attia has written about it. I read it in that book. Gene Williams gave me that book. I read that book. It's a good book. Anyhow, the point is, when you go do this, you'll learn about a lot of things, including how to improve oxygen delivery and utilization. You get all these things, better performance, improved health, optimized training, all of the things that you need to help build towards a better you. Get a DEXA scan. Find out your results instantly. Go about the process of training a little bit more efficiently, and I'll save you some money in the interim. Use Jeff25 as a discount code for 25% off any services at DexaFit. Jeff25. 25% off is a large chunk of change for the DEXA scan, so go get it done at DexaFit, DexaFit.com to learn more. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The city of Tallahassee is making some upgrades to help prevent sewage spills during power outages. New generators are located at pump stations and have automatic transfer switches when the power goes out. This means the city no longer has to send a crew of people to keep the pumps running. The generators allow the city to have more people focus on restoring the power instead of dealing with issues at individual pump stations. There are a total of 115 pump stations throughout the city, with 32 of those stations having a permanent power supply. $4.5 million in grants is going toward this project, with 13 additional generators currently in the process of design or construction. Star Metro rolled out several new updates to some of its service hours and bus routes throughout this capital city. The bus system kicked off its new changes Saturday, operating fewer hours and eliminating certain routes during the weekends. Most bus routes will end at 6:30, 1 hour earlier. This is Rachel Lene with your Roll Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A blend of clouds and sun this afternoon with a slight chance of thunderstorms. Daytime highs approaching 93. Winds out of the southeast, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Slight chance of thunderstorms tonight. Lows level off around 74. Mainly clear skies. Chance of thunderstorms tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 94. Mainly clear skies. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently 91.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan with summer savings that are as hot as the temperature. So listen to this. All 2024 Titan trucks in stock have 0% interest for 60 months and $5,000 off. You get both. Plus, if you own a Nissan, you get an additional $1,500 loyalty cash. Titan truck with the best warranty in the industry, 5 years or 100,000 miles, bumper to bumper. And we're blowing out our 6 remaining 2023 Aria all-electric SUVs with 0% interest for 72 months and $7,500 off. You get both. Plus, if you own a Nissan, you get an additional $1,000 loyalty cash. With Aria prices starting at just $38,580, you can purchase for as low as $595 per month or lease for as low as $389 per month, both with no money out of pocket. Plus, all Arias include 3 years of free maintenance. We're turning up the heat at Kraft, so this summer, more than ever, if your car doesn't have the Kraft tag on it, you paid too much. Way too much. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive in Tallahassee.
Hey, old fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Warchant game day pregame. Flash it back on the screen to you, Lizzie. What do we got there? Hotel Indigo, 1 o'clock. Studio show. That means you're really going to show up around 4 o'clock at Hotel Indigo.
Yeah, there we go.
If I remember correctly, that's where we get to shake hands, kiss babies, drink a cold beer, and get ready for football.
We're going to have a good long chat on a Monday evening. There's going to be a bar. There's going to be registered sausage. There's going to be the best view in town of Doak Campbell, a nice little breeze. Even because it's so high, it's floor 7. So you hop in the elevator at Hotel Indigo, go to the 7th floor, come on out to the deck. You get a cross breeze that you don't get on the ground. It's less stagnant than it is on the ground. There's also private bathrooms, air conditioning. It's an awesome, awesome way to enjoy your game day, so we hope to see you there.
You guys in the chat, you pumped up about the game day experience this Monday? What's your thoughts on this? I haven't asked a single soul. We were getting back, traveling, doing all that we were doing. When I got back, I was reacclimating, getting stuff around the house done, reintroducing myself to my wife and the kids. That's a euphemism. Yeah. Well, at least the part about reintroducing myself to the wife.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I don't know. I don't know how excited people are or are not about getting back into that stadium with all the changes, with everything that's happened. I know that it's affected the way that they're divvying up all the press credentials and those kinds of things. Fewer folks have access to these games now because of all of that. I know that the fan base, I see it from First Name John there and many others, are going to go into this game with lowered expectations. And I think that's probably safe to do in general, because even if they're a lot better than they were against Georgia Tech, we know they're not a juggernaut right now. They're not, you can make an argument as we sit here today. Tom, if I'm going to just be completely objective, I fight like hell to try to be objective. I'm not. I'm an old, you're an old, but we fight like hell to be objective when having these discussions about college football, the team, these kinds of things. If I'm at home and I had nothing to do with Florida State, I'm just a fan of college football, and I watch that game, I see the way that Georgia Tech took the action to Florida State. I think, man, they got some issues. DJ looks like the same DJ I've always seen, kind of, he's not bad. I didn't see anything that scares me.
Certainly wasn't showcased in the game plan.
Right. And then, I'm the college football fan at home that, again, I'm playing the role of the guy that doesn't care anything about Florida State. I just like college football. So I read the previews. I read and I saw where there were real question marks about Florida State's returning starters at wide receiver. They weren't so sure that there were guys that could fill the big shoes of a Keon Coleman and a Johnny Wilson. Saw nothing in that game that led me to believe that there's somebody waiting in the wings over there. Now, we know that maybe Hakeem Williams is that guy when he gets back. Maybe there's some guys that have a little bit more to offer than they showed or were allowed to show in the Georgia Tech game. Perhaps, but again, I'm that average guy sitting at home thinking about it after watching that Georgia Tech game. I don't see a star receiver. I was told about how good the offensive and defensive lines were, but in that game, it looked like Georgia Tech's offensive and defensive lines were better than Florida State. So I'm thinking to myself, if I'm that guy, well, I guess I'll pick Miami to win the conference. Maybe Clemson. Maybe I could trust Clemson a little bit more. Miami's never won the conference after all. Not once. Now that I think about it as an average fan of college football, have they ever? Oh, that's right. One time they played for the conference title, got their ass kicked, but I know they've never won it. So maybe I'll put my money, I'll pony up. I like to gamble as an average college football fan, so I've decided I'm betting on Clemson. I know they're going to lose this weekend to Georgia, but I'm a bet Clemson to win the ACC, and I'll say that Miami is the second best team in the ACC. And now I really want to get a good look at NC State, which might have the best offense they've had in a long time. And I know they've got linebackers. They always have linebackers, certainly better linebackers than Florida State ever has. So I'm probably like looking at them a little bit. Might be looking at that Virginia Tech team that turned it on last year, that mobile quarterback. That kid's pretty good. Might be looking at them. I don't know where Florida State sits in the mix here. Maybe they're the fifth best team in the ACC. I could think that after watching the Georgia Tech game. It's Florida State's job now to maybe change that person's mind and figure out who the hell they are. Figure out who the hell they are, because they still have time. They still have time, and they still have resources, and they still have players, and they still have a chance to shift and change the narrative here. A lot of time, in fact. A lot of time.
Yeah, you got a month, 3 home games in a month, and it culminates after that with a roadie at Clemson. So as we sit here on Thursday, Redemption Thursday of Clemson week, how do we feel about this team? And what work have they done between then and now to either regain trust or fortify doubt? That's the next steps that are coming. But you have Boston College, Memphis, and Cal. These are your next 3 games.
Yeah, you got to win every one of them, obviously.
And you need to improve every week as you do it.
Yeah. Got to win them. Let's just start with the winning of them. Got to win them. Got to win those games.
I'm trying to erase the doubt, though. I'm not trying to fortify it. So I'm assuming here.
Yeah, I got to be good by the I got to be good by the time I play Clemson.
And then hope we play to 23-20 and may the best kicker win. Right now, I like our chances there.
I like our kicker quite a bit. You know what else I like? Comfortable underwear. I love comfortable underwear. You can get it at manscaped.com, and they get it for pretty cheap if you use the code WARCHANT for 20% off and free shipping. I also like to avoid chafing. You might like to chafe. You may love all the chafing that goes on in this hot weather. I'm not the one. You can have some of my chafe. Wording, Jeff, wording. I'm not going to chafe because I'm going to get the crop preserver and the aftershave ball lotion.
The what?
The aftershave ball lotion. I might not even need it. I may not have shaved the boys on that day, but who doesn't want to rub the lotion? Especially on the cheap. Manscaped.com, code WARCHANT for 20% off. That's the best Manscaped read yet.
They keep getting better. And so does the deal, even though it's still the same.
I get lotion to rub on the boys in my brand new underwear, and I'm saving 20% off. How about them apples? I like it.
Just preserve the crops.
But don't dust them.
No dusting. There's no dusting.
You'll never get...
There's a bit of a dusting in Dublin, wasn't there?
Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. Game you're most looking forward to here in the waning moments of the hour.
The
game you most want to see, whether it's a bet you have or it's a revelatory thing.
It's easy. It's actually Miami, Florida. Because I'm not sure how good of a game Georgia Clemson's going to be. I'm not sure how entertaining a game Notre Dame, Texas A&M is going to be.
I think it's going to be a hard-hitting game.
I'm fascinated by Miami, Florida. I'm fascinated to see what Florida is. They lost a lot, and they lost their star wide receiver. They like Mertz, but is Pearsall a bigger part of the equation? Mertz. And then, of course, the Ward thing. How many times is he going to fumble on Saturday afternoon? That'll be interesting. I think runner-up for entertainment value would be LSU and USC.
It's a great game, right? Yeah. Both teams, it's a fight to see who bothers to tackle. Who's going to play defense? Yeah, I'm with you on that game. That game is a Sunday game, by the way, right when you get depressed. Sundays, now I know Monday's a holiday, so it might take a day off. But most Sundays around 6, 7 o'clock, we feel the weight.
Yeah.
We feel the weight of expectation, the weight of the work that waits, the weight of providing for your family and trying to get a good night's rest so that you can. And then all of a sudden, you can shirk that responsibility and you can say, I don't have to worry about providing and being responsible because Southern Cal is playing LSU on ABC.
This is my annual plea that we need to load up that Sunday. We need to load it up a little bit more. We need to spread the love a little bit between the Saturday and the Sunday of week one. That's it. You got that 7:30 game. And, when we were in New Orleans a couple of years ago, you at least had North Carolina and Appy, and that was a classic.
That game was incredible.
Yeah.
We saw our friend Burke Buchanan afterwards, and we're having a cold one during that back and forth. It was nuts.
We did?
I did.
You did?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. He bought me a beer.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I think Florida A&M also had played that particular Sunday.
That's right. They had. Yeah.
But, man, we got to load it up. The NFL will take any time window when they have an opportunity. This is a holiday weekend for college football, Labor Day.
But also,
NFL can't touch it.
Yeah, they can't. And I will tell you something else, Tom. At Pinch a Penny right now, they've got an incredible deal going on a double lounger. A double lounger.
That's what I would want Saturday to feel like.
Multiple couples in the lounger.
Okay. Here. Whoa, really interesting.
You can. I mean, you don't want to be in there with dudes.
Sure.
Right.
Multiple people. You mean
women? Yeah, it's a double.
Oh, you said multiple couples.
Well, I mean, I don't know. People get
Stay
down
over there.
People get down. They do what they do.
The double lounger should be the Saturday, Sunday of Labor Day weekend.
It also sounds like a double lounger is for people who get down. I'm just saying.
Okay.
It would be, you know what I mean? And right, pinch a penny on sale right now. Price is reduced. Hot Spring Pace Model 5 heater hot tub, baby. That's a 5-seater, as it's known to you.
A 5-seater.
5-seater reduced to $8,500. Go get you that cheap ass 5-seater.
Who wants to be the fifth wheel?
Let's go. Comes with a cover, steps, and the first round of chemicals are all on them, so you're good to go. If you got multiple couples, you got to get the chemicals in the
I
tub.
believe there were already chemicals before you get
there were chemicals before the couples got to the tub. Pinch a penny off of Greer Road. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Oh, man. Yay, football. It elicits this sort of fun. We're all back, man. We're all back. Teams got to show their back. Also, I'm tired of playing as a singular. We were the only game last week. Now we'll be the only game on Monday. Stop putting the light on us.
We're not ready for
Let
it.
us fix ourselves first. I haven't put on my makeup. We got to get it together, everybody.
Don't look at me.
Yeah, I'm not ready.
I'm a monster.
You can shine the light back on us in a couple of weeks. Hour number 2.
Don't miss TSC Tuesdays every Tuesday morning at 7:30 a.m. during the Greg Tish Show. Find out what's happening at Tallahassee State College every Tuesday at 7:30 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3 FM.
Howdy, folks. Jeff Cameron here to tell you about my friends at Dexafit Tallahassee. What is Dexafit, you might ask? Well, it's where you want to go if you're looking to elevate your health and fitness journey. Dexafit's exclusive services include AI-enhanced body scans, VO2 max fit testing, and RMR metabolism analysis to provide detailed insights into your body composition, cardiovascular fitness, and metabolic well-being. Sounds like a lot of science, but that's because it is. The most advanced science available. In fact, that's a good thing, right? Dexafit gives you immediate detailed insights about your body composition, provides a customized plan to improve on troubled areas delivered in an easy-to-navigate mobile app so you can share the information with your trainer or even your doctor to find the most direct path to your peak health. Check out Dexafit Tallahassee, the most accurate and most state-of-the-art body composition scanning and fitness planning available. Located on Capitol Circle Northeast, directly next to Bumpus. Check them out online at Dexafit.com and tell them Jeff Cameron sent you. Dexafit Tallahassee. Know your body and transform your life.
Honey, I'm home.
We're in here, honey.
So why are all my friends here?
Have a seat, Dave. We need to talk about your problem.
Problem? I don't have a problem.
Dave, you do have a problem. A problem with your grill. Here's some pamphlets from Hearth and Patio. They are waiting for your call to help you upgrade your grill.
If you or someone you know needs a grilling intervention, call Hearth and Patio today at 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282 or hearthpatiotallahassee.com.
No matter how busy life gets, your home is the place where your family and friends show you they care and celebrate with you. That's why the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning always make sure your home is comfortable. Just like those who matter to you most, Barano will always be there for you.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 1816186.
Real news, real stories. You're listening to Real Talk 93.3. Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Crescent, Tallahassee.
The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Tour Championship at East Lake Golf Club in Atlanta getting underway today.
staggered scoring for the event. Scotty Scheffler will tee off at 10 under. Xander Schauffele at 8 under. Scheffler and Schauffele will be the big guns at minus 330, or you could bet the field to win the Tour Championship at plus 225. Defending champion Victor Hovland, 70-1. He said he was shocked by the new layout of the Eastlake Golf Club. College football, UCF, a 40.5-point home favorite against New Hampshire. Saturday, Miami laying 2.5 at Florida. Monday night, Florida State, 16.5-point favorites over Boston College. Bet smarter with Juice Reel. It's free in the App Store. Juice, R-E-E-L. For more sports betting news and information, go to VSIN.com. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
I'm convinced I have the best Labor Day setup. A cold drink in one hand and my phone in the other while I shop Kohl's Labor Day sale. They have seriously great deals to refresh your home. $10 off if you spend $25 or more. $5 Kohl's cash for every $25 spent. And up to 85% off into summer clearance fave. Yeah, I can always count on Kohl's to keep it real with the best savings. And now it's time for a refill. Lifestyle offers through September 2nd. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
I'm Tiffany, founder of Harlem Pilates. When I couldn't find Pilates in my neighborhood, I started a studio from my studio apartment. Chase Inc. helped me grow from 1 Pilates studio to 3. Because when you start small, you're going to need some big help.
Chase Inc. Business Cash Card, you can earn up to 5% cash back on business essentials, so your business can go from here to possible. Chase for business. Make more with yours. Real business owner compensated for their participation. Cards issued by J.P. Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC, subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
Your destination for the most authentic Peruvian flavors in the capital city is Café de Martín and El Bar, where you can escape to another world and indulge in the true taste and experience of Peru. Enjoy daily lunch specials like our all-new lomo saltado or beef asado sandwiches served with a side and a drink. All-day happy hour every day and exciting live entertainment every weekend. Join us Friday night with a songs with guitarist George Feiju.
Hour number 2.
Music schedule online at cafedemartin.com.
It's summertime in Tallahassee, and it's gonna get hot. The last thing you want to do is your own yard work, so call the Lawn Johns instead. Here's what Linda had to say after her lawn service.
The Lawn Johns transformed my yard. Mark had excellent landscaping ideas and recommendations for the best plants for certain areas. The plan was executed efficiently, and now the yard is beautiful and full of color and variety.
Call the Lawn Johns today for all your lawn care and landscaping at 322-2567 or request a free quote online at thelawnjohns.com.
COVID-19 has cast a spotlight on the stark inequalities that drive poverty.
Jeff Cameron Show on a Redemption Thursday, and man, does it say a lot that we're here. I'm excited about it. It is. I'm eager. I said this last hour. I am giddy that football season is back for real. And it almost feels like our game wasn't for real. Sadly, it was. Sadly, our game was very real, and so is the result. And that fuels the concerns about Monday and everything else. But this is, from a college football fandom standpoint, in a weird way, a better weekend. We don't have to worry about us Saturday. We don't have to worry about us tonight. We don't have to worry about us on Sunday. You know, we worry about us on Monday, the start of a new week. This is the week where you get to just place yourself, your ass, if you will, firmly on the couch, and you can watch, or the bar, or wherever the hell you're going to be. And you can watch all of this play out. You can say to yourself, you know, I don't care really what happens in the Akron-Ohio State game. Suffice to say that I might care about the 48.5 that I'm getting as an Akron fan. I might care whether or not Syracuse can cover that 17.5 against Ohio. But other than that, the results is the results, right? And if you didn't see last hour, the picks were up, but they're pretty much in mass under. Whole lot of unders. I think we're going to have a lot of unders this opening weekend. I get a sense that this time thing that we saw over in Dublin isn't going to be unique to us. That there are going to be some games that go by a little bit quicker than most teams are accustomed to.
So this was one of the interesting things that came up in the college football playoff a couple of years ago, which was, remember, Ohio State might have figured out Clemson a little bit, you know, and Clemson's defense, which was dominant all year, was starting to give things up.
And what people behind the scenes were talking about, it's an inside baseball conversation, was that Ohio State would wait to come to the line until very late in the process because Brent was a master of, if I see it, I've got something for it.
Mm-hmm.
Their thought was, let's not get to the line, set up in the formation, clap, not snap the ball, take a look, and make our own offensive adjustments because you're playing into Brent Venables' hands because he's a genius. And that's exactly the vice grip that he wants to put you in, is you tell him, you dictate, this is the way you look. Hell with that. Let's huddle. Let's arrive to the line and go with our plan. What's happening now with the helmet communication is that potentially on steroids. And you noticed it with Florida State last week. There were even a few plays, and we didn't really talk about this, but it was very weird. Talked about it with Corey in the box up at Aer Lingus or Aviva. We also huddled very close to the football. Did you note that? Like the location of the huddle in the NFL is probably 5 to 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
We huddled basically at the line of scrimmage 4 or 5 times in that game. I don't know that I would do that, but I think this might be a trend like you're talking about. If the helmet communication goes, dull at 15 seconds before the snap, that was a trend to stop what Clemson was doing a couple of years ago, but it seemed to be working. That might just be a trend to stop all defensive coordinators from being able to talk to the green dot at linebacker.
I'll tell you this. I've thought a lot about this lately. I especially thought about it while we were watching the game play out at Aer Lingus, and the way that the pace of that game was unbelievable. It was a throwback to my childhood, watching football in the, I know you're going to shudder to think, Tom, in the late 70s and early 80s. I would watch these football games
on a very fuzzy television screen. Yes.
Yeah. We would watch. Well, but we didn't know any better. That was the best you could get. It looked crystal clear to me at the time.
This one's huge. It's a 16-incher.
Yeah. Look, whoa, what? You got a 32-inch? I remember the day we bought a 32-inch television. It came in this ready-made console box that you could turn like this. That's all you could do. You could turn it. And we thought that was the coolest thing of all time. And our giant-ass VCR sat on top of it. And on top of that giant-ass VCR was a giant-ass cable box later on. And then this giant controller, which was on a wire, which connected to the – I mean, this is the world we lived in, yes.
I do remember the TV remotes that clicked. The buttons. As you're trying to enter in the buttons. And I remember the first Time Warner cable boxes where they were soft buttons, and they didn't make that noise. It was like, oh, these are so soft. These are television controllers.
Well, we used to have to get up. I tell my kids this. They still, of all the things that I've told my kids about the way the world has changed in my lifetime, including, living in a time where we had maps in our glove box and we would get our maps out to figure out where we had to go an hour and a half away, unfolding a map in your driveway as you kind of went, oh, I got to go here. And you took a pen to the map and made sure you mapped out your plan. We did that. And I've told them that we had to, if the game on channel 8 in St. Pete or 10 or 13 or 44, which is WTOG, if channel 8, 10 or 13 did not have what you wanted, or you wanted something on 13 and not 8, you got up and you went kick, 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 and you turned the dial. You had to turn the dial, and then you'd walk back to your couch, and you just hoped it wasn't a commercial that you had to wait through. You just, oh, look at that. It's on right now. That's what you got.
Yeah, I had one of those crank televisions in my bedroom when I was a kid because I had the Super Nintendo game console. I was a very lucky young man. And then I realized one day that was still an over-the-air television. And so it was a Saturday morning, and I would always be down there for cartoons.
Cartoons, buddy.
Cartoons, brother. And I figured out that I could go to 28. I think it was 28 for ABC back in the day. And so you have the cartoons on. And my parents, like, where is he? It's 10 a.m., 11 a.m. I'm just watching cartoons. I don't need no breakfast. I could just stay in my room.
We've stumbled into something here, and we need to be able to – I'll get back to the football in a second, but, it does break – there are some things that break my heart about the changes that kids in the world they live in today will never know, things that they will never experience in a way that we did. I talk about true independence, for example. That's kind of a profound one. They'll never know true independence. We actually did. But Now they're tethered.
They're on the grid always.
Oh, well, they're just tethered. They have no chance. There is no I'm alone by myself and nobody can reach me.
You know what's really common, and this is spooky to me. I was asked a question over the weekend about like, hey, have you and anybody ever shared locations with each other? Shared locations.
Okay, so my wife put us on this thing, whatever it's called. You guys are all going to crack up about this. Let me just allow me to do this because Tom, I think, knows this answer. It's life something, life whatever is what it's called, and it's me. It's Christy and it's Bryce and Clark, and all three of them can see where they each other are at all times. I refuse to be on it, and they all three are furious with me. They bring it up once a week. And you'll be proud of me. I've never given in. You will not know where I am. I have all.
It's Gordos. You don't need the device.
No, but
it's
even
that's
yeah.
the answer.
Well, that's a good guess. And you might be lucky to get in the car and just drive up there and find me. But the truth is, I've taken off all location services. You cannot find me if I don't want you to. And I told my wife, I said, we've been married 20 years. I've never cheated on you. And I never will. And you're just going to have to trust that because I'm not putting myself on there like I'm a little kid.
Right.
If I'm going to be wherever I want to damn well be as a grown ass man. Yes. Now, if you call me and say, where are you? I'll tell you, but I'm not. No, you're not tracking me. And oh, by the way, that works both ways. I will not track you. You go where you want to go. Right. You're an adult. I'll trust that you'll make it. Yeah. And no, we're not doing this.
This was so. I was asked, "Have you ever used location services?" And I said, "Sharing location." I was like, "Yeah, if I'm at like JFK,
yeah,
and there's a cabbie coming because all it is just it's a bunch of cabs, it's a bunch of Escalades for like bougies, and then a bunch of Camrys. You know, like it's those three cars. So I don't got time to look at all the license plates as they're going by. I want the location services, and I want to know where the hell they are, so I could just hop in the damn car and get out. But for people. No. I can understand it maybe if you're at a theme park and your children and you tell them to go get some lunch. Okay.
Well, if you're a minor, I need to be able to track you as my son, and I will. My wife has that on there. I said, for the kids, that makes perfect sense. Like, I need to know. So when I'm cooking dinner at night, I try to time it so when Bryce gets back from football practice, we can all eat together. So I'm sitting here and I'll say, Christy, look at the Life 360 or whatever the hell it's called. And she'll pull it up. She goes, oh, he's 12 minutes away. That's helpful. Other than that, that's it. You're not tracking me doing a damn thing. Yeah. And I'm not up to anything nefarious. You're just not tracking me like I'm a child.
No, exactly. I don't. Yes, I've read 1984. I don't need
I'm not doing it
in my interpersonal relationships. I'm not an Uber driver. You're not going to see where I am on a map.
No,
that you're opening the map is troubling to me.
No, it's hilarious.
It's very troubling to me unless, and that's a great point, actually, though. That's a good use. Like, a location service for your kids, because typically teenagers, I was one of them a long time ago, will exaggerate how long it is till they'll be home. I'll be home in 5 minutes. BS. No, you won't.
You're 25 minutes away. There's no chance you're going to be home in 5 minutes.
I haven't even gotten in the car yet. But if I'm trying to cook a meal, I want to know the truth now. I don't want it to get cold.
Right.
I'm not going to eat it, so I get that part. But hopefully what happens for Florida State football on the other side.
Here's how I bring it back. So back to the point that we're making. Tonight's glorious. This weekend is glorious. You have this moment in time. There's only one of these each year. Well, there are more park your ass Saturdays, but you only get this first big weekend like we got this weekend, where you get it once, and it's this weekend. I mean, if you look at this schedule, it starts tonight. There's a level of intrigue on a Thursday night, and no, it's not the NC State Western Carolina game. It is, the ability to, and we got, by the way, did you see how big the slate is tonight?
No.
I don't know. For the people out there, let me just do this for you. And you want a very modern world that we live in, here you go. You got a game on the ACC network tonight at 7 o'clock. You got a game on ACC Extra tonight at 7 o'clock. You got a game on the SEC network tonight at 8 o'clock. You got a game on Fox tonight at 8 o'clock. You got a game on ESPN tonight at 8 o'clock. You got a game on CBS Sports Network at 8 o'clock. You got a game on ESPN Plus at 8 o'clock. Another game on ESPN Plus at 9 o'clock. You got a game on True TV at 10 p.m. A game on Max tonight at 10 p.m. Got a game on BTN at 6 p.m. That's Rutgers and Howard. You've got ACC Extra. There's a game between Wake and North Carolina A&T tonight. That is all tonight. So tonight's schedule, and I didn't name every game. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 games being played tonight, Tom. In those 21 games are notable names like NC State, Wake Forest, UCF, Missouri, Arkansas, Kansas, North Carolina, Minnesota, Colorado, Utah, Illinois. All these teams are playing tonight. Like, this isn't just directional schools, division, like you've got real games tonight. Now, only a couple really are probably games that you'll be really intrigued by. I think most people are going to be intrigued by Colorado and North Dakota State because of what North Dakota State's been and what Colorado is hoping to be and the disastrous first season that they had and, the massive transfer portal stuff and all that. We'll watch that and see what happens. It's going to be an ominous situation if Colorado were to somehow lose tonight to North Dakota State. I don't think they will, but if they did, count down the minutes till Dion announces his retirement. But it's fascinating because this is, 21 games to bet on. Yeah. 21 games to bet on Redemption Thursday if you felt the need.
I would assume that means 4 or 5 are going to come down to the wire, which is all you care about because it doesn't matter week one, the helmets, the jerseys, the stakes, the conference, none of it. As long as it's competently played football, and we'll even stretch the envelope for the first week of games of competently played football. As long as it's compelling and close, and we're locked in. We're embracing everything. We're embracing everything we can get, and that's what today's about. And this is where, you got to fire up that multicast again on the YouTube TV. I know you've been, and this is not a read, but it's a customized multicast. So that's what I want tonight is, okay, at halftime, what games are off the books? This team's doing what it's supposed to do. All right, they're dropped out. Let's make sure that the rotation is the following games. And it will be a glorious, glorious thing. Or you can just roll on out to a place like Corner Pocket Bar and Grill and just watch all the games at once on every television. And that's not a bad idea either because the food's delicious there.
Man, because we don't play on until Monday and you're feeling froggy on a Friday, you can watch Oklahoma, you can watch Michigan State, you can watch Duke, you can watch Wisconsin, you can watch TCU, you can watch your latest ACC brethren, Stanford. Those are all on Friday. So you got a whole slate of games on Friday, buddy. Yeah. And then the Saturday slate is incredible. You begin your day, and I'm telling you, you're going to be simultaneous. This is where you will want to be either set up with multiple televisions or at the corner pocket, like you said. Tom, Georgia Clemson's noon. Penn State, West Virginia is noon. I'll be honest with you. I've got a little pizza money on Virginia Tech covering that number against Vanderbilt. That's noon. I'll be watching that game. Now there aren't too many other nooners that I care about, but I've got a couple of bets in the noon hour right off the bat.
And then, of course, 3:30 is the Haterade game. That's Florida and Miami. So, it is staggered out beautifully. And I believe the 8 o'clock window is the A&M game. I'm scrolling down right now to take a look at that. But I believe that is your A&M Notre Dame. And it is 7:30 p.m., in fact.
I said that, I took Notre Dame for redemption. I took Texas A&M for the Redemption Thursday pick, one of them. But I do believe that's kind of a toss-up game. I'll be honest with you, I kind of just wanted some action on that game. I think it's a great game. I think it's probably one of the most physical games of the weekend. I think those two teams are going to knock the bejesus out of each other. And I also think that I don't know how, if I'm pulling for A&M, I don't know, pulling is the right word, but if I am, then, I think they've got to dominate on defense and they got to win a low scoring game. And if I'm a Notre Dame guy, I'm I know I'm in trouble in terms of the home field advantage that A&M has. I know my offense is going to struggle because Elko is a very good defensive coach, and there are very good defensive players on that A&M team, and I think he'll get them to play in a manner that's a little bit different than what A&M's done lately. But I don't know how A&M is going to score. So if I'm Notre Dame, I'm like, we may have to win 10-7. We may have to win 13-10. We may have to win 17-14. That's a game where watch the number of possessions. We get back after this possession talk, Tom. This could rival Florida State, Georgia Tech.
Well, and look, you're getting into the discussion about the game being shortened. That is going to, it's tomorrow's news today. Our issue that we had with commercial breaks and the fact that ESPN is going to get theirs for 3.5 minutes, even after the 2-minute warning and timeouts are called. More and more teams, more and more people around the country, it's going to become a discussion of what the F is going on here with these full 3-minute breaks. Like, at least in basketball, at least when you get into March Madness and you're inside the final 2 minutes and there's a timeout every 10 seconds, at least that commercial break's only 30, at most a minute. 3.5 minutes is an eternity, and you're going to lose viewership over that. And I think that even if it's a compelling game, somebody might turn on Fox instead of ESPN and forget, oh God, I forgot to go back there, because you forget it, like Haynes King's situation with the fumble before the field goal. Let's say that noon slate back east was outstanding. Man, if you've got one play being run over the course of 8 to 9 minutes of real time, people are going to forget about that game that aren't directly invested in that television product. And that's going to become a complaint that you're going to hear a lot about on sports talk radio across the country on Monday.
So this is added to the bucket of complaints that people have about the NFL. And the reason they don't want to see the NFLization of college football is that, and this goes back a number of years, my brother loves college football. One of my brothers loves college football. Doesn't really care for the NFL. He roots for the Bucs. He wants them to do well. He'll tune in. It's on in the house. He'll have the game on. But he loves the college product and has always been passionate about college football. And we were talking not long ago, and he goes, well, Jeff, my number one complaint about the NFL was never that it wasn't good football. It's the best football in the world. These are the best athletes in the world. They're the best of the best coming out of college to play each other in the pros. I get how it works. Just like the NBA isn't a lot better product than college basketball. I mean, they actually make shots. But here's the thing. They run 52 plays. They run 53 plays in the NFL, 54 plays in the NFL. And we got to stop every 5 seconds to review something while you're running 52 plays. And we get another commercial group. Well, guess what, folks? College football is the NFL. You're running 50, 55, 58 plays, and you have 2-minute warnings, and we have extra time for commercials. And what's my number one complaint about the NFL commercial breaks? Why do we kick the ball off and go to commercial? It's the most maddening thing in the world. We get a touchdown, we get an extra point, followed by a commercial, followed by here's the kickoff off after the commercial break. Now we've changed possessions officially after that kickoff. Let's go to commercial break. Don't do that, college football. Don't do that.
They've curbed that a lot in the NFL. The other thing they've curbed that college football did not this past weekend was if you're inside of 2 minutes, they might do one full TV timeout, but the rest of it is 30-second timeout. You'll hear the official, the minute 12 to go. You got to, trade timeouts to see if you can get a punt and a possession. 30-second timeout on the field. We'll be right back. And like, they don't even go to commercial. It's a 30-second timeout. There's a quick point being made in the booth, and then they go back and they play the game. The one thing I will say about us last week that we did not experience, and this was a good thing, weren't many injury timeouts. There was one on the opening kickoff after we had scored. Georgia Tech had number 3 go down, and it looked like a non-contact injury. There weren't a whole ton of injury timeouts, and there weren't replays, and there weren't penalties really all that much either. So
there weren't a lot of penalties called, and that's what certainly sped up the game. Everything about the game conspired for it to be one of the shortest games and few possession games that we've seen in forever. You didn't have a lot of injuries. You didn't have turnovers. You didn't have a need for instant replay. You had the instant replay catch, obviously on the sideline. Yeah, that's it.
Ja'Kai Douglas catch. That was it. Otherwise, there was no buzzing down where, you think there's a clear and obvious thing. Like, why the hell are we? Like, there was none of that. And, if college football has that, which often happens, a targeting review or two, On top of all the stuff that we're talking about, you get inside of a 2-minute warning, and you're taking a 3-minute break after the 2-minute warning, I believe, is 3 minutes for TV as well. The reason I know all this is because, as anybody who goes to the stands these days knows, there's the guy in the red. He's got the timer and the ticker. And when they said full timeout with 15 seconds to go in the second quarter before we kick that field goal, or actually call the Toafili play, then the field goal, and I see them put 3.5 on the board. I'm like, 3.5 minutes?
Yeah.
What are we doing, guys? Just up the spot rate and reduce the inventory. What are we doing?
Different subject, different conversation. They've ruined golf's broadcast with all of this. We've talked about
in America only. They don't do it overseas. They don't do that.
Well, you want to get into that conversation? How much better was the news in Ireland than it is here? Yes, it's the news. You saw the news. There's not a slant. Here's the news, and we're moving on. The news is boring, as it should be, but not here. All right. Before we take a quick break, let me just thank my friends at Tried and True Consulting. Tried and True has an ad program going on right now, which gives you a needed boost and exposure for your company and your services. You'll reach more people this way. If you have the space or you want to sell more of your business and get your program out there, this program is ideal for you. If you want a free ad board, they'll come in and install a 55-inch television for you. You could have a medical office where this would be fitting, a dental office. You could have a auto repair center, a dealership, something like that, perhaps a community bank, certainly a bar or a restaurant, which already has televisions there for the patrons. These are all ideal locations for the Tried and True ad board. And they'll post it, put it up for you. 2/3 of that screen is for whatever you want. You got the game on. If you're at a bar, the game will still be on. Down at the bottom, your specials could be running. What tonight's food option is could be running down there. And they'll control it for you. You don't have to worry about it. They'll program it. It really is a no-brainer. I don't know why you wouldn't want to do this. You need to go to triedandtrueconsulting.com to learn more. Reach out to Don or Joe. They're both great. They're both Knowles. Knowles helping Knowles make some money, save some money. Grand exposure for your business, and 10% of their net revenue goes back to the Battle's End. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is G. Deckeroff. In 1979, my friend Guy Moore opened his first store. Over 45 years later, Garnet and Gold is still providing the Seminole Nation with unique ways to show their spirit. As the last locally owned FSU merchandise source in Tallahassee, we're proud to be a part of the Florida State experience and this community. If you're a Seminole like me, this is your store. Garnet and Gold. Go Knowles.
Let's solve for the future. My friends at ISF, Solving the Future, bringing together experienced thought leaders, proven methodologies to support meaningful change with lasting impact. So I wonder if my man Jonathan Conrad wrote that. That's really well written. ISF is fun to collaborate with, and they do it with companies and state governments all across the country, from right here in little old Tallahassee. They are thought leaders in strategic services for public sector agencies, consistent presence for employees, clients who love what they do, respect one another, want to get things done. So we've talked about what they've done with the Department of Children and Families, feasibility studies, Department of State, Information Technology, assessment, planning, many studies, helps, compatibility, compensation studies, all these things from ISF. You want to learn more, ISF.com. We can solve for the future by being a lot more aggressive on Monday. I think, again, Tom, I really can't get over how passive Florida State played in the game on Saturday. There's a lot to credit Georgia Tech with having done. I mentioned that. I talked about the condensed formations. I talked about the motion and all the things that they did that kind of interrupted communication. The confusing aspects for the linebackers and the safeties who were especially bad in this football game. I thought the safety play was egregiously bad. But I also think a lot of this could have been helped by just an overall more aggressive finishing mindset. The physicality was lacking. I can live with concepts and strategies that see a team take advantage of certain aspects of your personnel. I can't live with a lack of physicality for a football team. I can't watch a team that's not going to be a little nasty, hard-hitting in anything that they do. Get beat for any other reason but that. Get beat for any other reason than that. Get beat because the other team's better. Get beat because you got out-coached. Get beat because there's a singular player that changes the game, a Randy Moss type who just makes plays even though you did everything right. Get beat because they've got an all-American offensive line filled with guys that are going to play in the league, and they did more on the line of scrimmage to win the battle there, and they win the game. Get beat for all those reasons, but don't get beat because you're passive, because you won't hit, because you're not physical. It felt like they were thinking an awful lot and not playing football.
Yeah, well, that's one thing where I'd say that feels like you got out-coached because they didn't look ready to play.
Yeah.
And again, you have your mirror on the other sideline. This isn't week 7 where the schedules are different. There's attrition, bye weeks, travel, all that stuff. This is equitable. It's your first game of the season. Both teams left from their respective campuses at the same time. Both teams arrived in Dublin at the same time. Both teams have relative strengths and weaknesses that I would say are on the same level. Florida State's talent is higher. Georgia Tech's returning experience was higher. So there's a trade-off there. It's not like Georgia Tech's players, if you sent them all to the NFL Combine, would grade out as high as Florida State's players. They wouldn't. Florida State's players would grade out higher. So I think that's a fair trade-off. So what's the difference? And one team looked ready to go, and one team looked like they had a great script on offense, and then they were a little confused with what to do. And on defense, they were confused from the get-go. And the stops and the productive drives on defense were the exception. They were not the rule. Getting off the field was the exception, not the rule. And so to me, that's about the level of preparation. I get it. It's up to the kids in the end to make the decision. But it's up to you to have them in a position to where they feel loose and free and ready to play. And they did not appear to be loose and free and ready to play football. I fully expect that on Monday. Having said all of that, I fully expect that on Monday. If it doesn't happen, then we're going to have a fundamentally different conversation. But it would also be really strange if it happened on Monday, because every indication that you have leading up to this moment, even with the dud, the egg that was laid, all that stuff in Dublin, man, these guys are prepared to play. They typically are. That's why it was so weird. If I would have figured if we lost the game 24-21, it would have been a combination of injuries, flukes, a couple of plays.
Missed opportunities in the red zone.
50-50 balls. Yeah, tip balls, like whatever. Field position, you get pinned down, a bunch of rain, conditions. I wouldn't have thought it was just because you got your ass kicked. But that's what it was.
Well, and I think that's what elicited the most amount of vitriol from the fans. I think this is, here's an observation, and it has nothing to do with the blowback that Warchant or any of the sites received from the fan base. I mean, it seems that the focus of the anger from the fan base were at those that cover practice and looked at this team and thought this team was good. I still think this team's good. But I think the blowback really stems from just the inexplicable way in which you got your ass beat by a team that's less talented. Like, that doesn't make sense. That's where you're just mad and you're lashing out and you want to know how it's possible that you could prepare all off season for this game.
Yeah.
And to know the things that we knew about Georgia Tech and still look that ill prepared and not be physical, as I'm saying, and to get kicked around is embarrassing, especially when you're the only game on. The whole country's watching that game. There was a special kind of build up to that game. It was the return of college football. So your team is being showcased. And the last time your team was showcased, they were on the wrong end of an injustice. And so you are already put off and in a bad mood about being on the wrong end of an injustice. And you wanted to put your best foot forward. And the opposite happened. You embarrassed yourself and you got slapped around a little bit in a sport that is measured by terms of machismo. If you're not physical enough, that is a massive slight in the game of football. It's emasculating, and it's not something that anybody is going to handle very well. It's not something that anybody is going to be able to digest and just move forward. And so in turn, there was a lashing out, there was a frustration, there was an anger, there was a disillusionment, if you will. You're left in limbo wondering everything you thought to be true is suddenly not. And we are normally, as fans, knee-jerk reactors to things in the moment, especially in week 1 or week 0 in this case, because we don't have anything else to compare it to. In week 6, it's much different because you can compare and contrast what happened and what's about to happen, what the rest of the schedule says you play, and what you've already played. You have no comparison here. And so I think this is why the fan base, and this is the only time I've really addressed the fan base here, but the fan base was irrationally foolish after this game. I mean, I saw an inordinate number of responses, and I'm not talking about the lashing out at me or you or anybody else on our staff or anybody else's staff. I don't care about that. Got thick skin. I've been doing this 27 years. Good God almighty. I was a guy in 2002, 2003, 2004 that was calling for Bobby Bowden to step down. You don't think I received hate mail? I can deal with all of that. But the point would be, when you've got people who are ignoring the overwhelming evidence of a 13-0 campaign and the remarkable turnaround that Mike Norvell has helped engineer here, only to see after one game this year a putrid effort indeed, and one in which they were poorly coached and deserved to be derided and ridiculed, there were an overabundance of fans that are saying Mike Norvell's a joke. We should fire him. Alex Atkins should be fired on the spot. We don't know what we were doing. This is a fluke. I don't believe in this group. These kids suck. This team's terrible. I mean, to the nth degree is what Florida State was described as, not measured in any way. And I was trying to attribute why the fans took this so badly, why they struggled so mightily. And you can yell at your radios and you can yell at this video and you can say it's because you guys had us believing that they were great. The head coach said this is one of the best rosters he's ever been around. The head coach told you this is the best offensive line he's ever had. So, yes, we did, but so did the head coach. And I don't think that he doesn't know football. I think he's a good coach. And I don't think we're all crazy to have told you that in practice, certain players looked very, very good and ready to excel. It's one game. We'll see. Maybe they still will. But I do think it's because we looked so incompetent and so, I guess, opposite of what we witnessed from a year ago, where they came together and they fought and they overcame obstacles and they found ways to win games, and they certainly were never soft. If anything, they were as mentally and physically tough as you could possibly ask for any football team, and this team didn't represent or resemble that team in any way. And that's too much to stomach, especially with the nation watching, and you're the only game on. And there was a feel, Tom, of specialness to this game too. We wanted to celebrate what they had done, and we wanted to thumb our noses at those that had belittled our achievements from a year ago.
That's it. That's the gasoline that's on the fire, is the specter of being ridiculed all offseason, hearing about 63-3, hearing about, oh, did you hear what this pundit said on the West Coast? Did you hear what this lunatic said here about what Florida State was or wasn't? Florida State's not good enough to be in the SEC or the Big Ten. They're not invited. They're not welcome. It's all of that. That's the kerosene, the gasoline. That's it. And so what you want to do in that moment is erase as much as you can all of that chatter with a resounding win, and you're on the path towards the Invitational again. Like, that's what you want in that moment. And when it doesn't happen, and it's been building up to this place, you do not know where to put that frustration. And look, man, I get it, because I wear the hat of the fan just as much as anybody who's watching this video right now. I care deeply about what happens with this program. And I was embarrassed watching what I saw on Saturday. I couldn't believe it, because that's not Mike's MO. Like, if Mike was a coach who, he recruits his ass off, but man, he'll lay an egg once a year. That's
Miami's head coach.
Then you could, more than once. He might lay a half a dozen over the course of 2 years.
But he recruits his ass off.
Sure, he does. But if that was his MO, then you'd be like, oh, well, this was bad Mike day. This was, we got ours out of the way early.
Yeah.
But Mike's modus operandi is always prepared, hardly ever out coached. If it's anything, it's even. But he's never out coached. He's never out prepared. His teams play hard. They do more with less. They maximize what they have. I mean, they're greater than the sum of their parts. You can list all those things out. That's what Mike Norvell has been about, is working in the margins and pushing over the edge. Not, I have the better team and I look like the worst team by game's end. It's a confluence of a lot of things. And I can understand the anger. I can. But what I can also tell you is that the evaluations from any number of people not on the beat here at Florida State that have told you that they were improving, that have told you that they were playoff caliber, and I'm talking about the McElroys, the Sabins, whoever you want to name. Saban's just, recently in the media fold. They're telling you that this roster's loaded with talent. It is. Yeah. And it laid an egg. And we've got to see what they do next.
I think two things can be true, though, too, Tom. I think the roster's a little overrated comparatively to those very profound expectations. When you tell me that the greatest coach of all time thinks this is a top 5 roster, I feel foolish by saying to Nick Saban, sir, it is not a top 5 roster.
Well,
I mean, that's an overreaction or an overstatement on his part. It happens.
It could be, but so what if it's top 10? It's playoff caliber, and top 10 is more than enough to beat what Georgia Tech rolled out there. That's where we were ranked. We were ranked number 10. I felt like that was appropriate. You want to put us at 15 and we got to prove it? Sure. Who cares? But you're not putting us at 20. Okay.
No. It's a talented roster. It's not. I think we have to define our terms and properly state. Look, we thought they were a 10-2, 9-3 type team. Best case scenario, 11-1 type team. Best case scenario.
Yeah.
That tells me that we don't have as high expectations as we had a year ago, and that's for a reason.
No, they're not as good as last year's team, and I was broken record about that. I know you were. Every camp I thought they were getting better for 4 years.
Yeah.
God, dog, they're better again.
Yeah, they weren't better in this camp than they were last year, right?
Nor in spring. You knew that this team had more flaws, but you knew that it was starting to get better where it counts, which is closer to the football. And again, that's the other part of it. I think probably the general frustration that the fans would feel, and I understand it, is they were told that the trenches were good, and the trenches were ass. That was
in this game. Trenches were ass. It wasn't always for the same reasons that they might think, and I think that nuance matters in these discussions. I was embarrassed by what happened with the defensive line. I don't think that's who they are. We'll see. If that front seven is going to play anything like they did against Georgia Tech, they're going to lose 4 more times minimum. So I'll say that if they play like that, they'll lose 4 more games minimum.
Right. You can never account for, I don't want to say effort, because I feel like that's too far after one game. I'm not questioning heart and effort.
No, I'm not questioning heart and effort either. A lot of fans did, but I'm not. No.
Not yet. But, I mean, if that is the level that you're going to physically perform at, then, your combine says one thing and your game film says the other. And unfortunately, it's the bad way for us.
Well, so let's put a rivet on it as we solve for the future. I'll reiterate and restate what I just said. You can lose and win for lots of reasons, but I never want to look out there again and see a team that doesn't play with a physical edge and toughness. Your head coach screams work incessantly and yells about being tough and preaches about being tough. Every football coach does, quite frankly, because the essence of the sport is that. You have to be tough to get hit as hard as these guys get hit and get up. It'd be like watching professional hockey and questioning whether or not those guys are tough. That can never happen. Hockey players are all tough. They have to be. The sport demands it. You couldn't arrive at this place if you weren't tough. You couldn't be on the ice if you weren't tough. You couldn't be in big-time college football if you hadn't proven that you were tough along the way. You can't get here. Can't get here. Now, some are tougher than others. Got it. There are levels of tough, but you have it in you. I didn't see any of it. I didn't see toughness. I didn't see physicality. I saw a whole lot of confusion and standing around and bad angles and poor tackling and no finishing. And that can't be. That can't be. So make mistakes, but make them wicked fast and take somebody's head off along the way.
Yeah. That would solve for a lot of things.
That solves a lot of futures. That changes games. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is G. Deckerhoff. In 1979, my friend Guy Moore opened his first store. Over 45 years later, Garnet and Gold is still providing the Seminole Nation with unique ways to show their spirit. As the last locally owned FSU merchandise source in Tallahassee, we're proud to be a part of the Florida State experience and this community. If you're a Seminole like me, this is your store. Garnet and Gold. Go Noles.
Wrapping it up on the Jeff Cameron Show, Redemption Thursday style. Looking forward to Libations Friday style. That'll be tomorrow, and that'll be fun. And in the interim, before we go to probables, before we sign off for the day, I do want to point out, Tom, that yesterday when you and I got off the air and we were doing probables, I checked the score and it was 10-3 Pirates, 10-3 in the 7th inning. Pirates lost the game. Paul Skeens was robbed of yet another one because when he left the game through 6 innings, he had given up 2 earned runs. He'd struck out 9. The game was firmly in the grasp of the Pittsburgh Pirates in the form of a 7-run lead and later, prior to that, an 8-run lead and then a 7-run lead. My closer, who had been an all-star a year ago and the year before, gave up 5 runs in the 9th. 5, Tom. Not 2. Not 3, not 4, 5 in the 9th.
That's your guy's fault. You shouldn't have brought him in a non-safe situation.
Well, they had to bring him in a non-safe situation because the guy that they brought out there to close out the game in a non-safe situation walked the first 2 hitters he faced on 8 pitches.
Still not a safe situation.
They brought in somebody else that wasn't David Bednar, who promptly gave up a walk followed by a single and got nobody out. And then they went to Bednar because now it was 10-5. And they thought they should probably go get the closer because this is getting a little dicey. And he gave up 7 hits.
7 hits.
What are we out here doing, Tom Lang?
Waiting for the rosters to expand. That's what you're waiting to do.
Buddy, good God. And they, Angels, Tigers. You want to cue it up? Here we go.
It's time.
How you say?
Probables.
Angels, Tigers, Jack. How about this guy's name? Jack Kakalewakich. Keeter Montero goes for the Tigers, the Giants and the Brewers. Hayden Birdsong, Aaron Savale, Rangers, White Sox, Nathan Eovaldi, Nick Nastrini. Michael King goes for the Padres. Cardinals will throw Sonny Gray. Marlins, Rockies, Valentino Balazzo. Bradley Bollock goes for the Rockies. Mets, D-backs, David Peterson, Ryan Anderson. We got the A's and the Reds, JT Ginn, Julian Aguilar. Braves, Phillies. Impossible names, today's probables. Charlie Martin, Christopher Sanchez. That was the easiest one of the bunch. Blue Jays, Red Sox, Bowden Francis, Cutter Crawford, Royals, Astros, Brady Singer, Hunter Brown, Orioles, Dodgers. Great game tonight. Cade Povich, no relation to Maury, Bobby Miller, and that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. I'm just kind of wiggling. I was just wiggling.
Watch the head bob. Watch the head bob. His head's wiggling. Won't be much baseball on the television tonight. I can promise you that. This is going to be
the Pirates may have caused me to not watch them the rest of the way.
Ooh, there you go. Oh, it'll make you happier.
I'll tell you something. They were 3 games over 500 in the start of the second half. They were 4 games out of first place. They're currently in last place. They have the worst record of any team in baseball in the second half of the season post All-Star break. Yeah, many of their All-Stars from a couple years ago have been the root of their problem.
So football season it is.
Yeah. It's on to Thursday Night Football, and, buddy, some cold beers going down
Colgate
tonight.
and Syracuse, that's what we're looking for in our life.
No, we got Colorado tonight. I'll watch that game. We love watching the Blank Show. Good work out of you, sir. Thanks to everybody. Enjoy your football tonight. Until tomorrow, peace.